In this world, there are numerous masterpieces of jewelry art, each with its own story. Among them stands out the luxurious yet delicate tiara of Geraldine Aponyi Dinaji Aponyi, crowned with a figure of a goat. The wife of the self-proclaimed King of Albania, Zog Wurst, did not have the chance to accomplish something significant for the state. Just a year after their wedding, she fled to France with her husband, but the memory of her beauty still resides in the hearts of former subjects. The young queen's tiara consisted of a wreath of flowers, densely studded with diamonds. At the center of the composition rose a small figure of a two-horned goat. A similar depiction can be found on the diadems of Albanian beauties from past centuries. An interesting fact: helmets of the military commanders of these lands in ancient times were adorned with images of this animal. It symbolized wisdom, longevity, and stability. One such helmet with large horns replaced the crown of Zog I. The familiar symbol of authority was simply absent at that time, as the country had been previously governed by a president. Let's return to Geraldine. She was born in Budapest into a wealthy family. Her father was a count, and her mother the daughter of a millionaire. The girl received a good education and worked in a souvenir shop at the City National Museum, which was overseen by her uncle. The fate of the young Hungarian changed when her photograph caught the eye of Zogwurst. The king had long contemplated marriage and finally saw a suitable match. In late 1937, Geraldine first laid eyes on her future husband and soon received an offer she couldn't refuse. Zogu was significantly older than his bride and did not possess extraordinary attractiveness. Yet there was something special about him that melted Geraldine's heart. She spoke of her spouse with great tenderness, always emphasizing her happiness with him. The church disapproved of the union between a Catholic and a Muslim, so they entered into a civil marriage and did not have a religious ceremony. Before the ceremony, the bride was bestowed with the title Princess of Albania. An honored guest at the celebration was Galazzo Ciano, serving at the time as the Italian Minister of Foreign Affairs. The newlyweds embarked on their honeymoon in a brand new car, presented to them by Adolf Hitler himself. The Queen adored dressing up. Her wardrobe overflowed with various hats, while her jewelry boxes regularly accumulated precious gems. She delighted in wearing everything her blissful husband gifted her, and 6 months later announced her pregnancy. On April 5, 1939, two pivotal events occurred within the family. The heir named Leka Wurst was born, but the new parents couldn't savor the moment as Zogu received an ultimatum from the Italian government that same day, compelling them to flee with their family. They traveled extensively throughout Europe, spent some time in Egypt, before finally settling in France. In exile, Geraldine discovered her talent for writing. Mysteries and memoirs flowed from her pen, captivating readers with their compelling narratives. In his later years, the former king ceased working and lived off the earnings of his wife. In 1957, a National Assembly of Albanians in exile took place in Paris. At this gathering, Leka was proclaimed the heir to the throne, yet he still couldn't return to Albania. Over time, he married, had heirs, and continued to seek recognition in his homeland. It wasn't until 2002 that Geraldine, along with her son, was able to return to Albania. This move proved to be her last, as she passed away shortly afterward from another heart attack. In 2004, she was posthumously awarded the Mother Teresa Medal, which was accepted by her grandson. However, the tiara was not Geraldine's only adornment. She also possessed ruby earrings. The Hungarian Countess Geraldine first laid eyes on this jewelry piece as a wedding gift presented to her by King Zog of Albania in 1938. Naturally, he couldn't limit himself to just one pair of earrings. Alongside them were other equally precious gifts. Yet the earrings merit special attention. To understand why, one only needs to delve into their description. Their depth measured a whopping 4 inches, and since 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters, imagine how substantial they were. It was hard not to notice them on a woman, wouldn't you agree? The earrings themselves consisted of a cascade of diamonds, which in turn were encased by no less precious rubies. It was this adornment that Queen Geraldine wore when her most famous portrait was painted. Even during her exile, Queen Geraldine of Albania couldn't part with her ruby earrings. Although she had to sell off most of her jewels in 1960, this jewelry piece was present at the wedding of Grand Duchess Maria Vladimirovna of Russia and Prince Franz Wilhelm of Prussia in 1976. After the Queen's passing, the ruby earrings passed down to her only grandson, Crown Prince Leka, and understandably this masterpiece of jewelry art was worn by his wife, Crown Princess Alaya. The Queen also possessed the Sapphire suite. This set of jewelry, comprising a pair of earrings with diamonds and sapphires and a brooch with diamonds and sapphires, likely includes the sapphire goat tiara, which, like its origin, is unknown, but entered Queen Geraldine's collection around the 1970s, over a decade after her diamond. The goat tiara and other gems were sold. Queen Geraldine presented the sapphire suite with the sapphire goat tiara at her son King Leka's wedding in Biarritz in 1975. The following year, the sapphire goat tiara and the sapphire suite were worn by her daughter-in-law Queen Susan at the wedding of Grand Duchess Maria Vladimirovna of Russia and Prince Franz Wilhelm of Prussia in Madrid in 1976, and then in a series of portraits in the 1980s. Quite recently, Crown Princess Elia wore the sapphire suite with the sapphire goat tiara for a series of portraits released on Albania's National Day in 2016, just a few weeks after her wedding to Crown Prince Leka. The following year, the Crown Princess wore a brooch from the Sapphire Suite when businessman Julian Roche was awarded the Grand Cordons of the Royal Order of Skanderbeg. And she also wore the brooch at an event in 2019. There is no doubt that we will continue to do so. Just look at how these magnificent family heirlooms will be worn for many years to come. And finally, let me tell you about the Sapphire Goat Tiara. The Sapphire Goat Tiara features a base of diamond-shaped leaves with sapphire scrolls, an arch of diamond-shaped leaves with sapphire flowers, and the most distinctive feature, the sapphire-encrusted royal crest of Skanderbeg's ram, which is present on all Albanian royal tiaras. It was made sometime after the 1930s, during the royal family's exile. The tiara was seen on Queen Geraldine of Albania at the annual banquet of the International Monarchist League in 1975, and later that same year at the wedding of her only son, King Leka, in Biarritz. The next wearer of the sapphire goat tiara was Queen Susan, mother of Prince Leka and daughter-in-law of Queen Geraldine, who wore the tiara at the wedding of Grand Duchess Maria Vladimirovna of Russia and Prince Franz Wilhelm of Prussia in 1976, as well as in a series of portraits in the 1980s. Queen Susan, born in Australia, was the wife of King Leka II, and spent much of her family life in exile before being allowed to return to Albania in 2002. Unfortunately, she passed away just a few years later, in 2004, from lung cancer in Tirana. The sapphire goat tiara passed down to Prince Leka as an inheritance. Interestingly, the necklace of Queen Susan was already worn by Elia Zaharia for an official portrait. The sapphire goat tiara was worn by the new Crown Princess of Albania, Elia, at her wedding to Crown Prince Leka in October 2016, and then for portraits, including a series released for Albania's National Day in 2016. The tiara was worn quite recently for another series of portraits in 2019, and undoubtedly, we will continue to wear it for decades to come. What was your favorite piece of jewelry? Who would you like to hear more about?